welcome to Preemie Chats, a space where we connect, learn, and share stories about the world of prematurity. I'm Fabiana Bacchini, a proud Preemie parent and Executive Director of the Canadian Premature Babies Foundation, as known as CPBF, and I'm honored to be your host today. Preemie Chats is brought to you by CPBF, a parent-led charitable organization dedicated to supporting families, advocating for the needs of premature babies, and providing the latest information and resources to help parents and caregivers navigate this journey. Whether you're a parent, healthcare professional, researchers, or someone interested in understanding more about preterm birth, you are in the right place. Together, we are building a supportive community where stories are shared, questions are answered, and new evidence is explored, and no one feels alone. Be sure to visit our website, canadianpreemies.org, where you'll find helpful resources, our latest projects, and most importantly, a community of people who wants to see our little babies thrive. And today's episode, we're going to talk about a Micro Preemie survivor. She will actually be here sharing her personal story. Christina Gagnon will tell us how life was for her and her family, what kind of support system and medical technology was available in the 80s when she was born. We will learn how she defined all the odds and now is a NICU advocate. And I have here joining us from Nashville in US, Christina, I'm so happy to have Christina here because she's such an amazing advocate and always commenting all the posts that we have in our social media posts, in our private group. And she's here today, an adult born preterm in the 80s, to really share her story and, most important, to give us all parents hope that life goes on after the NICU. Christina, welcome.
Thank you so much, Fabiana. Thanks so much for having me. It's great. It's great to be here.
I'm so happy you're here because, we always talk about the parents, but we need to hear the preemies themselves, what life looks like. But first, I want to start by asking you how this always started, how you came into this world in the 80s. And let's just put into context. How old are you now?
I'm 38 now, and I'm going to be 39 in October, at the end of October.
That's wonderful. So tell us a little bit about what you know about your, when you came into this world 38 years ago.
Okay, sure. I came into this world on October 30th, 1986. My prematurity was from placenta abruptio, and it was very sudden. I was supposed to be born in February on my mom's birthday, and so they were trying to keep me in, but I was trying to come out. So I had to be born, and they were trying to find me, and I was located in the back, along with the placenta. And so I was born, and I came out looking gray, and just very sickly looking, not right. And so they immediately brought me to the NICU, and I weighed 1 pound, 8 ounces at 14 at a 14% chance of survival at 25 weeks.
Wow, that was very early on those days and very tiny baby. So do you know what your journey in the NICU was like? Does your parents ever share with you how those months that we spent in the NICU were like for them and what you went through in the NICU?
It was very scary because my mom was under anesthesia, and so she didn't get to see me until the next day. My parents didn't know what a NICU was. They didn't even know it was in the hospital. So my dad went to see me immediately. They were terrified. They had no idea what they were going to face. My mom was strolled into the NICU the next day, And she was scared. She couldn't
Absolutely.
believe how small I was, and how I looked like a little rumpled baked potato, sort of, and I was unhealthy immediately. I immediately had diseases and infections on me, with me, and it was hard because my parents were in their in their late 20s, and it was hard because they also had my sister, and she was 4 years old too.
So that you manage between the NICU and home with a toddler at home. And you also share with me that you spend 212 days in the NICU.
Yes.
That is a very long NICU stay. And you had pretty much all these main conditions that the babies develop in the NICU. So what do you know about that? Because you share with me a lot of them that sound very scary for us parents.
Yes, I had NEC, neck 3 times, PDA, ligation, BPD. I think I forgot to bring that up with you. There are a couple I forgot to actually bring up. I'm sorry about that. There's a lot. There was collapsed lungs 44 times.
Wow.
And I know that's a lot. And I had lost my toes due to gangrene from a blood clot. I'm sorry. Yeah, it was from a blood clot. And it was from a key. I'm sorry. They installed an IV in my right thigh, and it got infected. And there was a blood clot that traveled through my body, and it settled through my foot. And then I got gangrene, and then I lost all my toes and part of my heel, and it left me permanently handicapped.
So when you share all these conditions that we develop in the NICU, how do you feel today as an adult? Knowing that you went through all that, obviously you have no memory of that besides having no toes, because this is a very evident condition, but everything else that happened to you, how do you feel and how that has impacted your life over the last few decades?
Well, I feel like the kind of like the NICU is just it's a part of me, you know. I've always felt like connected to the NICU. Even when I was younger, I felt like I want to do something, but I didn't know what at the time. And I wanted to become a doctor, but I don't have the smarts for it. And I wanted to do something for the babies always. And my story just even though I've heard it like over 1,000 times, I always felt like I was alone. And it's like, and I've seen other disabled kids. It's like when I was a patient at Shriners, it's like, okay, I'm not alone. Mm-hmm. So it's nice to know that. So
was that important for you, Christina, to be connected with people who are also born preterm and understand what you went through and where you go through on a daily basis? Because you talk to me about asthma, you getting sick often. So it's important to have that network of people who really understand what it is.
Yes, I find that to be very important, because it's nice to connect that way. And it's like, yeah, I had that too, and then they have that, and we can talk about that. And it's like kind of like my childhood wasn't so uh, wasn't so sad, because mine was kind of taken away from the doctors. You know, I had the doctor's appointments quite a lot during the week, and I didn't really have a childhood because it was caused by doctor's appointments from either a checkup or I was sick a lot, and I couldn't really play with my friends a lot because of that. I mean, I did have a childhood, but it was split up in two, and that was tough, you know. And ever since my niece was born, I got to have that second chance, and it's nice to have that, you know, to see it through her eyes, but without the numerous doctor's appointments and all of that. It's like, oh, well, this is actually nice.
Right. So, wow. Something that we don't think about that as parents, right? Because we are trying to do the best we can for our babies, taking to all these therapies, and we forget that kids also want to have fun. That is so important.
Yeah. And I had a ton of therapy. After the NICU. I mean, right when we got home, there were like 4 or 5 therapists at the door, and my parents just handed me off to them, and I couldn't even get to know my parents. I was never my mom's baby. So, I mean, she was there during the appointments, but I was never her baby. And then at 2, I had to go on a school bus so I wouldn't fall back mentally.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about your school days, because this is such an important part, right, of being a child, go to school, have friends, a social life. How was the school for you?
It was a little tough. I got bullied because of at 2 it was fine, but then towards me being 5, I had this big keloid on my right thigh from that IV, and I had to get major surgery done when I was 5, and in the summer of, I think it was 1990, 91, I had major surgery done. And I had this huge scar from it. It was a scar revision surgery. And I was there for 10 days at Shriners Hospital in Tampa, Florida. And I had to relearn how to walk before kindergarten. And I had a lot of rigorous surgery. I had to do all that before I started kindergarten. And for the surgery, they had to take a skin graft from the right butt cheek of me, and then they had to place it on my right anterior thigh. And a few kids knew about the surgery, that I was still a little tender from it. And this one kid, he kept bothering me. He kept smacking me on the butt. And one time I got so fed up with him that I punched him. And this was in kindergarten. And the teacher let me do it because I was so fed up with it. And she wasn't upset at all. She was like, she said to my mom, she's like, you know what? If I was her, I would have done the same thing. And from that surgery, I developed moderate medical PTSD from it. And so with that, with my foot and my scar, I had gotten bullied, physically bullied and emotionally bullied from other kids, asking about what happened to your scar on your foot. And but I was an average student until high school. I really excelled once I went to high school, which was a private school for kids with mild learning disabilities. in Longwood, Florida. And I really soared. And I started getting these really high awards, getting on the dean's list, getting to be a straight A student, graduated high school with a 3.8 GPA, a third in my class, and so I really worked hard. And
Right.
then the bullying, the bullying stopped. It was just in elementary school. In middle school, it never happened because I started going to that specialized school and in middle school, and everybody had their differences, and I felt really accepted at that school.
And you felt more supported in that school?
Yes, I did.
Wow. It's so important what you're saying, because we always trying our best for our children, right? And sometimes like, what is the best environment to put our kids, and so they can really thrive, and teachers as well as healthcare professionals don't only look at the deficits that we have, but look at our potential and build on that potential. And I think schools have such an important role on that with children, and you just gave an incredible example, but it's the same with healthcare professionals, because you told me a story that really got stuck in my head when you're chatting about, which is the title of your book, Don't Expect Much from That Child. I wanted to share a little bit of that experience and what that made you do and how you became just advocate for yourself now.
Well, the book, okay, I'm all done. I finished it. I'm starting to query now for agents. I haven't heard anything back yet. So I'm waiting for that. That is actually a direct quote from my neonatologist. When he handed me to my parents, don't expect much from his child, because I was supposed to be blind and in a vegetative state. That was supposed to be my life. But it seems like God has had other plans for me. And so I thought that would be the perfect title for my book. And I thought it was catchy, and I think it would be a good interest for people. So we'll see for that. Hopefully it'll be official. But I think I really hope it gets published. And because I want to help today's preemie parents by giving them a good insight of like, this is what happened back then when there really wasn't anything, because medical technology was very slim and survival for preemies was very slim. And because there wouldn't be medical technology like today from the trial and error from back then, it all had to start somewhere. And so it's like, well, here's my story and I want to help you. And I've had some feedback from parents, and they're like, well, from me hearing your story, I read it when I was in the NICU, and thank you so much. And I loved that response. It's like, okay, let me finish this book up, and then they can have this in book form. And I really want it to happen.
We too, because we always feel that stories are so very important for families, for young children, but also adults, right? Adults who are born preterm, young adults. My son is 13. It's so important for him to hear all the stories of preemies, how their own experiences and how they relate to the system, how they relate to friends. We always feel that stories are life-changing for many of us. And I think your book will be such a great addition to our community. But I want to talk a little bit about how you became this advocate that you are today. You not only advocate for yourself, but you advocate for our community. How did you feel the need for that? And what empowered you to do this work?
It was just something inside me. Ever since I was 12. It was just something that I think was always inside me. So it was always to help them, the preemies, And I've as recently I called them my tribe, because it's where I've come from. I call the preemies my tribe. And my neonatologist, I'm still in contact with her, and my NICU nurse. And she was like, they are your tribe. They really are. And then she told me one day on the phone, she was like, you know what? You're actually their aunt. You're their aunt. So I thought that was so sweet what she said. And she's retired now, but we do talk regularly. And my NICU nurse has seen me grown up since I was an infant. So I love having that connection with her too. And we send each other cards in the mail and send each other happy birthdays and Christmas and all that. We talk on the phone or online through video chat, and it's just, I love having that connection. And back in 2019, I surprised her at her retirement party. She didn't know I was coming, and she gave me the hugest hug where I couldn't breathe. And I was a guest of honor there. In fact, I had met doctors who took care of me in the NICU, and they're like, oh my God, I remember you. And the last time I saw you, you were an infant. And it was so nice to see that. And that people were like, oh my God, it's really you. It's like,
oh, that is so wonderful.
It really is. I love
it really
that.
Is.
It really
it's
is.
Very special.
It was so nice.
Talking about relationships, how was your relationship with your sister? Because you had a lot of challenges, you have a lot of medical appointments, and you have a 4-year-old sister when you were born. So you're 4 years apart. So how was the relationship between the two of you growing up?
Oh, it's always been wonderful. My sister always thought that all babies were born that way in the NICU. She didn't know that they were born I would say not sick, but she that's what she thought. Mm-hmm. But she would come and see me in the NICU for about like maybe 30 minutes. But she knew that I needed help. It's the only way. What she knew. But she knew I needed a lot of help, and we're like this, me and Barbara, my sister, and we take care of each other. We've always have. I mean, we have some difficulties here and there, but we get some make up and all that. But we are extremely close with each other. Very, very close.
That is wonderful, Christina. And talk a little bit about your professional life. What happened in your professional life?
Well, I tried to do skincare. I went to beauty school for a little bit, and I had my license in California. And in Florida, I tried to get it here, but that test is extremely difficult. And I never worked in my field. I tried to, but I kept on getting no for job interviews. And I thought, like, no, I don't think this is my calling. So I talked with my therapist, and he said, you know how you always wanted to write your book? And this is back into 2019. And I said, well, yeah. And he's like, you have a tremendous story. You should write it. And so I started to write it when I was 32. And here I am with writing the book. But I work at my dad's office. I do data entry in the QA department. That's what I do. But that's not really a job. I'm trying to make the book into a career. So we'll see with that. But for a job, I've been at that job now for 10 years. So that's what I'm doing.
That's wonderful, Christina. Now, I really want to, first of all, ask you, what are the things that you love doing?
Oh, I love to read.
I can't stop
reading. and I love to write. I love being with my family, and I love to travel. I'm currently traveling a lot right now, and so that's what I'm doing at the moment. But I always read. I can't stop reading.
That is wonderful.
And I watch a lot of movies or shows.
Very great.
Yeah.
So before you wrap it up, if there is one message you want to send to parents like me, who is still I'm still early teenager years, and many parents who still in the NICU, first year home, toddlers at home, what would you tell us about raising our preterm babies?
Okay. This is what my parents did. To always want your child, because that's what they did for me. My parents never stopped. They still want me and my sister, and give them unconditional love, because that's what they've done with me. My parents have never stopped advocating for me. And even though I still live with them because of my medical issues, they still help me, and they understand what's going on with me. And always want your child, no matter what. Also, if your doctor or someone gives you a hard time, don't be afraid or intimidated to get in their face and say, "Are you paying the medical bills?" Because that happened with my mom in the NICU. Some doctors got really offended by my mom because she spoke medical terminologies, and my mom got into my medical files, and she spoke with my doctors. Some doctors didn't like that, and when it comes to me, my mom is like an encyclopedia. She knows me inside and out. I mean, it's crazy how my mom knows me, and there are sometimes where I don't even know myself, and yet she knows how I think. It's crazy. But yes, always advocate for your child. Don't be scared to talk to the doctors. Record everything, and I mean everything, even if you have to write it down. My mom still has my notes in a notebook, which we still have 38 years later.
That is beautiful.
Yeah, so just do what you have to do for your kid. You're there for them.
And for the adults born preterm or teenagers, do you have a message for them?
Yeah, don't be scared to share your story. Don't, because I'm there. I want to be there to help, or maybe even have a connection. We can have a connection somehow. But I would love to hear your story too, because we've all been through something in the NICU. We've lived a very chaotic journey in the NICU. We went through a lot of stuff.
Absolutely. And I'm sharing your Instagram account. People want to be connected with you, to reach out on social media. Christina, it's been such a pleasure talking to you, learning from you. I'm so grateful that you're always involved in our conversations on social media, in our private group, because you bring us so much insight. But also for us parents, when you're in the beginning of this journey, you give us hope just by being you. Because I always think no matter where you start, with the right support, I believe any child can thrive. And you approve of that. And I'm so grateful that we spend the time together today.
Thanks.
Okay, so I hope I see you again soon on social media. And to all of you watching us today, thank you for joining this episode of the Preemie Chats. And if you missed part of today's session and you want to revisit it, please find this episode on our website, which I'm going to put right here, the Canadian Preemies.org. While you're there, we explore many resources and support options we offer for families on their journey. And as a charitable organization, CPBF relies on the generous support of people like you. Your donation allows us to continue empowering families of premature babies every step of the way. Together, we can create a brighter future for all babies and their families. So thank you for being part of this community, and we'll see you again next Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time for another live episode of the Preemie Chats. Stay well.